Jerry's got her arch enemy in her sights. Jerry, go get him! Jerry! You catch him. You catch him, Jerry. Okay, this is when I got my ZV1. I bought it off this other popular YouTuber. He was having a live stream and getting rid of all his gear that he reviews. He reviews a lot of videos. I think he's a wedding photographer as well. But he reviews a lot of stuff, and I just bought it off him, and it's become a really good vlogging camera. Although it has failed me a few times with the bloody focus. And I thought I'd test it out as a stills camera. So yeah, it was not too bad. The old Sony, you know, Sony colours. Hey Jerry, Sony colours. Alright, so this one I went to Para Lakes. I think I wasn't feeling very inspired that day, but like I said, always get out there in the first couple of minutes and your inspiration comes back again. I think I took the 17mm out, which is the 35mm equivalent, to try and get some landscape shots with the old 17mm. I think I had my EM1 Mark II. Yeah, and I think I got lost that day. That was a two-parter. Yeah, in the end, for someone who wasn't very inspired to go out that weekend, I ended up doing a two-parter. So yeah, took a lot of photos. From the heart. You understand what I'm saying here? I'm going to shoot from the heart. So continuing on with the 17mm still stuck on my, this time I put it on my EM10 Mark II and went out for some street photography. Yeah, I remember that. Around Sydney Harbour. Some of the shots I took. Yeah, some of the shots turned out alright. Yeah, I wouldn't call them award-winning street photography, but yeah, there's a couple of giraffes in there. I saw a few giraffes, so geez, a few out of focus. Oh no, that's the Harbour Bridge. Yeah, not too bad for a an amateur street attempt. So, oh, I forgot to change hats. Yeah, I take my Western Sydney hat. Doesn't really fit. I went to Sydney. And this one, Benro. I went and bought a Benro. I went and bought a Benro. Really good, expensive tripod. Never used it. It's been a year. I think I've used it twice for that moon one, and that was it. Benro. I don't know. I want to be a landscape photographer, and you watch all these landscape videos, and you want to be a landscape photographer. So you got to buy all the right gear and everything. So anyway, it's a good tripod. Very sturdy, very tall. Very heavy, so don't worry, it'll come into good use. I just got to get out there and landscapey. Jerry, it's very hard to be a landscape photographer with Jerry. That's my excuse anyway. But yeah, that's a really good tripod. That's what that video was all about. Okay, so this one I got back into Super 8. I thought I'd do a proper way of how to transfer videos to Super 8. As you probably know on my channel, you've seen a lot of Super 8 videos. They're all my dad's collection of Super 8. So I've incorporated a lot of Super 8 videos into my own content, my own photography / YouTube videos. It's fun. It's a nice medium to add, a bit of different, cool retro look to your videos and that. Add a little snippet here, a little snippet there. Especially when I did some of those, going back in time videos that I did. Taking out the bazooka 100 to 400 to the zoo. This was a two-parter that I did, and tell you the truth, I think I got better shots with my old 1970s lens. Hey Jerry, oi, huh? Yeah, he's sleeping. But yeah, I got some really good up front shots, and yeah, I mean it's a pretty good lens. Look how good that is, getting right up there, fill the frame, so sharp. Look at that. Even at 20 megapixels, you know, like you can zoom right in. And actually I'm not cropped in here because the 400mm at the zoo, it's like, you know, it's like shooting ducks, I tell you, because they're so captivated, because that's the zoo. But yeah, like I can get really sharp there. Oh, that's not that. So it's just a matter of zoo photography with a crop factor camera and the 100 to 400. You know, sometimes you got to step back. You're too close. That's like they say, Olympus is good for wildlife. Everyone says it, you know. It's because it's light and compact. Okay, macro. Where is it? 600mm. So I think this was around the time that Emil Taplin, you know, the Olympus ambassador, she was doing, I think she was on Rob Trek, and she was doing, you know, she's a macro photographer, and yeah, so I thought, why not? Everyone's telling me get the 60mm. That's the best macro for Olympus, and yeah, it really is. So I think what I did on this episode, I actually took it out and just used it as a 60mm, and found that it's actually a really good 60mm, no macro, just in general, you know. Yeah, got a couple of macros in there through with having a tippy tail there. So, but yeah, that's a 60mm. I really should do more macro. So, oh, I forgot the hat again. I put the macro hat on for that. So, yeah, that was my macro hat. Anzac Day. This was Anzac Day, so this one when I went out to the city for the Anzac Day parade. I thought I took some really good shots here. They weren't the greatest of all street photography parade shots, but yeah, I found a bit of tweaking in post with it. So yeah, this was my journalism hat. Put my journalism hat on here, and photojournalist, and got out there, and I think I did some kind of simulation photos as well, like Fuji, in post with digital software, just to give that kind of street look. Yeah, I thought that was good with my Anzac Day, which is, I think it's the Australian, New Zealand, and Anzac Army Corps, whatever. It's our Memorial Day, I guess, the 11th of the 11th type for Australian and New Zealand servicemen. Yeah, that's a good day out. Okay, autumn arrived, and I think I was a bit late for autumn actually, and I wanted to get some really good autumn shots. So I went out to Centennial Park in the city. What did I take? Take a few close-ups. I think one or two shots made it into that. I could probably put into my catalogue, you know, just a few close-ups of maple leaves, but there weren't that many maple leaves there, so that was just a fun day out, trying to get some autumn colours. I think I missed autumn this year. I was a bit late. I didn't really go out, and really what I should do is go to the mountains, in the Blue Mountains. There's some parks out there like full on, where it's like really auburn colours rather than the city. If you head out west to the Blue Mountains, yeah, it's really good autumn colours there, maybe this year. So this is now me putting on my fashion photographer. I thought I'd try and be a fashion photographer. I used umbrellas, I used the flash. Where's the flash? Yeah. Gary, oi, you're still sleeping. The old Godox TT350. That was and my sister is the model. So yeah, some good shots there. And I did it all in Lumina post processing. You got the face AI. You can touch up the face, and yeah, I found it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too hard. You know, it's not going to be award winning. There's a lot that goes into it. Obviously, not just taking the photo. There's the dressing, the posing, the location, the backdrop. So there's way more to it than that, but it's a good little start. I didn't mind. It's a little bit nerve-wracking because you're dealing with people, but still, especially if you don't know someone. I don't know how. If you didn't know someone, I guess it'd be even more nerve-wracking, really. But I guess after a while, you're just taking photos. Yeah, so that was me trying to be a fashion photographer. All right, so this is when I convinced my sister to get an Olympus camera. She bought the EPL8, so that's a nice little compact camera. I want to get the EP5, but you can never find one, and they're always sold out, and they're always too expensive. I think the EP5 was the like the sought after camera. It's like the Fuji X100. It increased in price even though it's like 15 years old, whatever. The EPL5 was a good camera for her. I think in the end we ended up buying the 40-150, the kit lens. So she's got the 14-42 and the 40-150, which is what I started off with, and that's perfect on the EPL8. So yeah, it's a good entry level camera. I mean, I still think the EM10 Mark II is a better entry level, but for my sister, she didn't want to muck around with too many buttons. So the EPL8 is perfect to just what do you call it? Social media type. It's one up from your phone camera, even though she uses her phone more, purely because it's easier to get it onto Instagram and social media. Because with these cameras, I don't know why they don't just have, what do you call it, wireless. I don't know why they just don't have like a 3G feature in here or something, or a wireless to connect to the internet, and then you can easily post. Maybe one day. Okay, this is when I went to the waterfall somewhere, I think in Carlingford, and this was my EM1 Mark II with the 14-42 professional. So this is the professional kit entry level lens. So this was my professional day out. Well, not really, but I mean, yeah, I guess it is, even though it's a couple of years old now. The EM1 Mark II with the 14-42 professional pro lens. So combine that together. That was a professional setup. Tell you what, I've taken better photos with my EM10. It's not always about the gear. I finally utilised this professional lens with the professional camera. So like I said, even though it's 10 years old now, even though it's like 6 or 7 years old, it's still a professional setup. Okay, this one was Vivid. This is a light show that Sydney has every year. And I went with the camera store, and they had all these photographers there, and Olympus were there, Fuji were there. I think I hung around the Panasonic guy more than Olympus, and you can win stuff. And I bought the super wide TT Artisan 7.5mm f2, this beauty. I call this one the old bulbous, my old trusty bulbous. It's a beauty. And it took some really good shots, like effects, wide effects, with this lens. I think I took some the year before with Jerry with this. I really like it. It's fun having a fisheye lens. You can take some really arty-farty shots with it. But this was Vivid. I wouldn't say I had the most epic shots of the day. I've seen other people's photos, and but I think the challenging thing with this was the light, being steady with the light and pumping up the ISO. I think I used DxO a lot on this to get rid of all the noise. It's because it's at your dark. You really needed a high aperture, so I had an f2. You really needed a tripod, so I brought a tripod with me to get like that epic shot. Handheld, I did get away with it with some shots, but not many. bye.